On today's episode of Empowering Women in Real Estate, the podcast, we're going to be talking about the power of presence, leading with confidence and connection with Marcella Oakley and Elia Alfonso.
Hi, I'm Karen Cooper, a wife, mom of three, real estate broker, team owner, and founder of Empowering Women in Real Estate. As a realtor, I've personally helped well over 700 families in my career, and now I help thousands of women from all across the country balance real life and real estate through daily inspiration, motivation, and actionable plans to increase their success. Listen in as I share stories and tips from my life and business and interview some of my favorite people.
Hi there, I'm glad you're here for today's episode. This is the second episode in our series of interviewing our speakers for this year's Empowering Women in Real Estate Conference. Our conference is coming up at the end of September 29th and 30th. And over the next 6 weeks or so, I am doing an interview of each one of our speakers. And so this really gives us a chance for you to not only hear a little bit more about who they are and what they're going to be bringing to the stage, which can help you if you have not yet purchased your ticket, can really kind of help to solidify that decision for you. But then also if traveling to see us, if coming to the conference this year is just not in the cards for you, it gives you a chance to learn a little bit and to hear a little bit. So I'm excited for that. Today's episode, you guys have heard from Marcella Oakley before. She's a phenomenal woman. She's a real estate agent in Northern Virginia. She is a former SVU detective and hostage negotiator. She has worked with Chris Voss, the author of Never Split the Difference in the Black Swan Group. And now she has her own company called the Verity Accord. And she works with Elia Alfonso, who is a street cop in Northern Virginia, who also teaches other negotiators, other police officers. She teaches, she has taught women's self-defense classes. And so the two of them are pairing up together to talk about the power of presence, because there is something about how you carry yourself when you are going into your appointments. How you are perceived by the client really makes a huge difference in whether or not they feel comfortable working with you, whether or not they feel like they can trust you. And so I love that what they're going to be teaching, and you're going to hear a little bit about this in the episode, is this is not just about things like, scripts and tactics. They're teaching you actual skills based on science. Like, you're going to hear them talk about the amygdala hijack and the things that happen in our brain when we're going through certain situations. And so it really gives you a set of skills that you can use when you are going on listing presentations, when you are meeting with clients for the first time, when you are in the middle of those really challenging negotiations. So I'm excited for you to hear this episode. I'm really excited for you to hopefully meet them at the conference. If you don't have your tickets yet, you can go to our website, empoweringwomeninrealestate.com, click on the conference, and there you can see a breakdown of all of the details, everything that you need to know about the conference, and you can get your tickets. And I hope to see you there.
Ladies, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm so happy to have you here. Marcella, this is your second or third time? Second time. And Ellie, this is a first for you.
Correct.
Okay, so why don't we start with you? Tell us about you.
My name is Elia Alfonso. I have been a police officer in Northern Virginia going on 26 years. I actually just started my 27th year. I'm a patrol lieutenant. I've been on negotiations teams since 2006, and I took over in 2016. I'm also an avid jiu-jitsu practitioner. My forte is actually use of force and defensive tactics.
Wow.
I teach a lot of women's self-defense programs with Gracie Baja. Mm-hmm. And I noticed with meeting Marcella that our worlds collide and intertwine between negotiations and use of force. And as a patrol lieutenant, having command, right, having to command scenes, all these things really do work together like almost like the ingredients to a good sauce. Everything is off of something else.
Yes.
So that's originally from New Jersey, first generation, born in the U.S. My
never would have guessed the New Jersey. Sorry.
Nothing. I don't have any accent, do I?
None.
You should see the pace I can speak in.
So tell us, first generation American, you said. Tell us about your parents.
Yeah, so my family fled Cuba. My dad's side, they owned property in the U.S. and they vacationed in the U.S. way before Castro's infiltration. My mom's side, they owned a lot of land. They were farmers. My grandfather was a mechanic. And then they fled Cuba after the rebellion went really, really bad. And then they were able to get out and then come to the US, and they both started their own families here. They met and started, we have family businesses, transmission shops, we have a family farm. So it was the real American dream. They got to fulfill it.
It is. I love it. Fantastic. Well, I'm glad they came here and I'm glad you're here. So thank you
Thank you.
for being with us today. Marcella, tell us about you. Remind our listeners of who you are.
Yes, ma'am. So I started off in law enforcement. I'm a realtor right now, and it's a very small team in the DMV area, but I didn't get into real estate the traditional way. I started as a law enforcement officer here in Alexandria City, Virginia, and turned into being a detective, working SVU cases, specializing in crimes against children, and then a hostage negotiator under the great Derek Gaunt, who was a lieutenant and still teaches in that world with the Black Swan Group. He and Chris asked me to join the Black Swan Group a couple years ago. I was honored and have the honor of saying that I was able to work with such a great negotiations firm for several years and teach online globally, at least, and in person nationally. And I realized very quickly that real estate and hostage negotiation techniques, there's a thing, right? Real estate agents are really crisis managers. And when you understand a human in crisis, you can really navigate the crisis better. And you can at least understand what they need, get the perspective of how to manage the situation better. So Ellie and I became fast friends. I've had the honor of teaching with Ellie. She's one of the best teachers I know. She's an amazing public speaker, and we're excited to have her on the Verity team. So we're here. That's how we came to you. I've spoken at Empowering Women in Real Estate Conference. You guys are an amazing group, and you just do so much goodness in this world. Especially, there's so many stressed out realtors, and you empower women to really connect and build community and be themselves as they work in sales and really such a relationship business.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad that you guys are here today because, I think in what we do, there are so many layers, right? Ellie, you're a street cop. Marcella, what you had done in, being a detective before and now in real estate. As you said, we are crisis managers, right? All three of us in what we do in our worlds. And there's so much that I think we can learn from each other as far as that's concerned. And so I think what I would kind of like to sort of start with, and Ellie, you had mentioned this when you were talking about your intro about how you talked about use of force and you talked about how you are helping women with, self-defense and things like that. I think for us as women in real estate, it's a scary world out there, right? You don't know who you're meeting. You don't know what kind of situation you're going to be walking into. And so how we carry ourselves, I think really is kind of all about it. So can you kind of touch on that a little bit? I'm sure I know you teach that all the time. So.
Yeah, I actually did a class once for a group of realtors in Northern Virginia. And it was for all realtors, right? It wasn't specific to women or men, but there is something when it comes to women in space that when it comes to situational awareness and switching to a predator mentality, that sometimes is not it's not natural for women, right? And I'm going to speak in very broad terms. So you can email me if you're mad at me for speaking in broad terms, but it's easier that way.
Yes.
Women tend to be more defensive of their children, right? It's the reason why it's called the mama bear or the lion. And men tend to be more protective of space. Again, broad strokes. So it's almost giving women the okay and the empowerment that you can own the space that you're in, take care of yourself, be situationally aware. And for realtors, you're walking into unknowns constantly, right? Can't rely on your cell phone if you're selling houses in DMV and you go to the Blue Mountains, right? Or if you're selling in the Northwest, not everything is cell phone friendly. So you have to have at least a mini tool set in your mind. And that tool set is that you have value. You fight to the end if you have to, but how to limit the danger we put ourselves in because we try to live in a box, but we're not, right? Like we're all in the wild trying to get water from the same trough next to the elk and the gorilla and the lion and the snake and the monkey. So you can be aware of these things and not be petrified of them.
Yes.
And just be prepared for it. So when I do these women's self-defense classes, a lot of it, there's a light bulb moment, right? Because I'll always ask them, what would you do for your child? Like, how far would you go to save your kid, right?
Yep. Oh my gosh, so far. Yeah.
And then I go, what would you do for yourself? And exactly that is the response, right? So it's an immediate, I'll fight to the death for my child. What would you do for you? There's a pause. So I want to eliminate that pause for women. Like, because if you're okay, your kid's okay. If
Yes.
you don't survive, who's going to take care of your kid and your household in this world that you've built? So
Yes.
you have to survive, and you have to believe that you're worth fighting tooth and nail from. That's where I come from.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. And you know what? Can we just kind of go in a slight little different direction there too? Because you said you have to believe that you're worth fighting tooth and nail
Yes.
for. And isn't that like, I think the heart of what women deal with, I think so much, we really kind of question our worth inherently. And I see it, working with women for all of these, 24 years now in real estate, like there's a questioning, I think, that we have sometimes, and we don't want people to not like us, and we don't want people to, we don't want to offend somebody, and we don't want to, and so we will almost like let our guard down to our own detriment. You talk about situational awareness, Ellie, like we will let our own guard down to make other people feel comfortable. But really what we're doing is we're just opening ourselves and exposing ourselves completely, right, Marcella?
Yeah, and we're also being told, we've been raised, some of us have been raised to be seen and not heard, be polite, be quiet.
Yeah.
And so, especially as agents walking into homes that we don't know. And by the way, Verity is going to be putting on this course that Ellie has. So,
Oh, so good.
reach out. But we forget that we can be confident, assertive, and also connect and protect that relationships while also protecting our space. We're told, it's unfortunate because what Ellie's talking about in that split second when you need to be protective of your space and your safety, those are often moments that is a make or break for you on like how the situation might go. And so having command presence, having confidence, and also being protective of the trust building and things that there's a way to do both at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
there's studies that are done on this, right? So I'll give you a quick one, right? It can be your thumbnail. If you change how you so much as walk into a room or walk from your house to your car, and it's as simple as head up, shoulders back, and walk with a purpose, you're already a less desirable target for someone that's looking for prey.
Oh, wow. Yes.
And I can even send you the study, and all you have to do is change those three things. And the more present and alert you are, the less interested they are in you because you can see them, right? It's not the best of the best that attack women. It's the most meek, most insecure looking for prey.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So there's
Yes.
a lot that realtors can do. And I learned this through talking to other realtors that are friends of mine. And I'm like, you guys do what? You're in a house with what? Nobody knows you're there. Like what?
Yeah.
So all of my bells and whistles are going off as 30 years, almost 30 years in law enforcement. Like, oh,
And we can
Yeah.
teach our children this too. One of the things that I taught my 21-year-old, I'd go running with her at 8 years old and I'd stop her and say, "Where are you right now?" Right? Where are you right now? Because we don't look at street signs. We're just unaware. We're in our world. And so
Oh,
just
yeah.
being more aware of our surroundings, it also makes you more confident as an agent
That's
engaging
right.
with another person.
That's right. Well, this is such a perfect segue into kind of what I wanted to talk to you both about today, because you're going to be on stage speaking at our Empowering Women in Real Estate conference at the end of September, and your topic is called the power of presence. And so, like Ellie, what you were talking about with when you're walking, like, kind of head down and shoulder slumped, and you kind of, like reads prey, right? And when you're head up and your shoulders back and you're like, it's a different confidence. But also, it's that simple shift, that confidence, that when you take that into your client appointments, right, which is the point
yes.
of our conversation, changes that whole experience. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so for me, like when I talk to a realtor, right, because I bought and sold homes, I'll make a decision that fast if I want to work with them. And
Yeah,
it's how they speak to me, how they engage me, what is their confidence level, because there's confidence and there's cockiness.
that's right.
And there's a way to own your space and be present without being over dominating, right? And overcompensating. And then you don't want to be super meek and mild and defer to other people, right? And with working with Marcella, and one of the reasons why I was so excited to join the Verity Accord is because I feel like we have these things that we do in high pressure scenarios that translate so well into the executive world, into the business world, into the real estate world,
That's right.
especially for women. Because when you're, to me, I see Marcella, she's a realtor. Now she's her own chief of police, right? Like you're commanding your daily scenes and you're
Yes.
commanding these interactions.
Mhm.
And what we do is under high stakes,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But it's high stake for you too. It's a
Yep.
mortgage payment, it's a college tuition, it's medical bills, right?
Yep.
It's just different.
Yes.
It's the same thing, and we're all trying to survive in a space.
Yeah.
that's predominantly dominated by a more aggressive gender, the masculine energy.
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
like, women, you can embrace your masculine energy too.
Yeah.
Use it in that battle zone, right? I call it that particular
Absolutely.
battlefield. That's all.
Absolutely. I think about when I teach, when I was actively working with clients, like I would talk to, and as I would kind of train my agents, is like, when I went into someone's home, there was no question that I was driving the bus, right? I was in charge. Now, I would do it in a very respectful, right, polite, professional way, but there was no question that I'm a professional. I have the experience. This is, it's a way that you carry yourself. And I think that your clients respond to that because then it's like, whew, okay, she knows what she's doing. I don't have to question. But when you go in the door and immediately the energy is, well, what do you want to do? Well, how would you like to do it? Well, what would you like to price your house at? Like, then immediately it's like, well, why am I calling you? I called you because I need you to tell me, right? Marcella, can you expand on your thoughts with this too a little bit?
Before we finish up with today's episode, I just want to check in with you really quick about the conference. We are now down to well less than 90 days until our 6th annual Empowering Women in Real Estate Conference coming up on September 29th and 30th at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Dulles, Virginia. Our lineup this year, the speakers, I am truly and genuinely so proud of what we have brought together, the women that are going to be taking the stage, what you're going to be hearing, what you're going to be learning. These are not things that you are hearing at other conferences. These are not things that you're hearing at other trainings. And I'm really proud to be able to bring those to you. We've got 2 full days today for the conference. This is business strategy that you can use the Monday you get back. And the content takes seriously the fact that you are not just building a business, you are building an amazing life. So if you've been wanting to register, now's a great time. We may have a few early bird tickets left. So go to the website. It's empoweringwomeninrealestate.com and click on the conference. And as always, if you have any questions, just reach out.
Yeah, it also impacts conversion rate too, because you could be working with a client for several years and never convert them because you just don't seem like you're a confident professional. But when it comes to crisis, there are tools that people don't talk about enough. And one of those tools is tone, right? Mm-hmm. So we've all had the client that's just falling apart and in crisis, and hostage negotiators deal with that as well. The client, it's the other person on the other side of the phone that's like screaming or falling apart, the world's coming apart. And the reality is our clients, to them, sometimes it feels like their world is coming apart. And sometimes we're seeing the worst sides of either the agent on the other side or the client that you're dealing with. And we are being taught scripts and solutions when we really need to be taught how to handle human emotion and why people make decisions and react the way that they do, and when is the appropriate time to come with solutions. And so we'll talk about that as well. One of the biggest tools is tone, right? So when the client's up here, instead of raising your voice and trying to dominate them, you can use your tone and take it down a notch, and it will impact them in a way that they don't even realize. And over time, that'll assist you in not only connecting with them, not only de-escalating it, but getting perspective and working towards the solution that you eventually want. And that's the difference between a deal falling apart in real estate and actually getting it to somehow remain intact and getting it past the finish line. And that's what these tools are.
Absolutely. Well, because it is that I think we're taught scripts, right? That's a very common word in the real estate world, and we all want to know scripts for what to say. But the problem is these situations that we run into, just like what you would deal with as a, hostage negotiator or Ellie out on the street, like no situation is textbook. Like there might be elements that are similar. There's elements of human reaction and whatever that might have some similarity, but everyone is bringing a different energy and a different mindset and a different background and a different baggage, to it. And so that's what we're learning to handle, right?
Yeah, and it's about you setting the tone as well. And what I mean by that is this: scripts are great. It's like learning a language on Duolingo, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's great. And so you talk to somebody and they answer you back, and it's not the one-word answer. Yeah. So, because cops have the same problem. We get taught scripts and genetic templates on how to handle a situation. Mm-hmm. But it's when it goes differently, now there's a panic mode, you revert to your panic mode self, right? You don't know how to deal with that. Maybe you raise your tone, or you don't know when to stop talking, you don't know how to listen, or you don't know how to identify and label the thing they're going through so you can help intervene and then bring it back down to neutral and help them out. Oh, yeah. There's a reason why Dr. House was so popular, right? Was because he said, "You're dying, I got you, I can help you." I don't want a realtor that's unsure, indecisive, and that I have to do all the work for, right? I want somebody competent, capable, confident, and at least seemingly in control of their emotions.
That's
And
right.
something that Ellie does, which is amazing. So Ellie is not just your typical street cop. She leads other cops, and she also teaches other cops about how to handle crisis management within themselves, right? Obviously, they're dealing with life or death situations on an ongoing basis. In fact, street cops, they get the most boots on the ground experience with the hostage negotiation skill set that we've based our skill set off of. What's neat about the connection between real estate and what she does is that realtors are in crisis a lot as well. It might not be our crisis, but they are managing crisis all the time. And so we're going to talk about that as well. Like, how do you recognize that you are fatigued? How do you recognize that you're in burnout? And how do you handle that? Right. And so what does that, just knowing that about the lifestyle of a realtor, how will that help you? And what tools can we give you? Because there are tools.
Yes.
And Marcella, you always point out too that if you're part of a team, how do you recognize that in your teammate?
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I'll give you one geeky moment, right? Your amygdala doesn't know if you're stressed because it's life or death or because you can't make a mortgage payment. Or if you're suffering over, like the amygdala just responses to real and perceived threats based on your biological response to some sort of stressor. It doesn't know, right? It's like the old, I'm going to karate chop a spider web because I walked into it at 2 a.m. What was that? That spiky reaction. So it's getting people to recognize that in themselves, no matter what the stressor is, to be able to regulate and get back online to, frontal brain cognitive thinking versus emotional responses.
And that's exactly it, because you're right. Like, our brains don't recognize the difference. We just, you feel the flush, right? You feel your heart starts pounding, your chest gets tight. Our body doesn't recognize that I'm stressed because I can't make my mortgage payment, or I'm stressed because, I'm trying to record this podcast episode and all of my kids are, banging around in the house or whatever the thing is. And so our bodies can't tell the difference. And I think about it too, like, you're talking about your team, recognizing your team. When we sell real estate, Marcella, like, it's not just us. There's an agent on the other side of the transaction, right? And sometimes, I think unfortunately a lot of times we treat each other like adversaries, but we're not. We're really kind of partners. We have our respective people that we represent, but we're partners in kind of bringing this to fruition. And so can we recognize when the person on the other side of this transaction is feeling stressed or is having that emotional response? And how can we help to kind of de-escalate that, right? Would you say?
Yeah, and not take it personally. The biggest part of this is that we tend to own, like, literally live these experiences, and sometimes we're too tied to them, right? And so when you get the negative reaction on the other side, instead of saying, well, like you said, let's go to battle, I'd like you instead to get curious and say, there's a reason why they're saying this. So we need to get to that. Let's get there first. Instead of trying to fix it and rush towards that finish line, let's just pull back and get perspective, because that perspective will save you time and money, working with the wrong client, all of the things. And to Ellie's point on the team, I'm a big harper on team. If you have a team, I know there's a lot of agents that are solo agents, and that's totally fine, but you still work with a lender, preferred lender, you have a preferred title company, you have other agents that you talk to that you consider your quote unquote team. Team is one of your biggest assets, because I am one type of person and Ellie's perspective is totally different than mine, and your perspective is totally different than both of ours. And if you get to know us and you're on our team, the trust level that's there. So when I'm up here as an agent, because I do sometimes get there, or as whatever, just a human with Verity, Ellie can say, okay, Marcella, I know I can identify that she's in crisis, and I care about her enough to pull her out of crisis so that she can think clearly before having to deal with the thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's huge.
It is huge, because it happens. I think about, just the day to day, right, in a transaction and the things that we deal with. And I'm just thinking about just some examples this week with some of the agents on our team. Like, this one had this situation was happening and this one had that situation was happening. And we can't help, I feel like we're all like very kind of empathetic beings. And I feel like we can't necessarily help but kind of take that on. So not only do we have the stress of guiding our clients through whatever this, challenging situation is, but then we also just kind of take on their stress and feelings. I can't tell you how many times I would, I talked to my business partner, or I talked to an agent, and something went wrong, not their fault. And they're like, oh, but I just feel so guilty. I feel so bad. It's like we're taking that on. And I think having that reality check of that other person to say to you, hey, it's not you. Yeah.
Ellie, I was just going to talk about what you teach, which is understanding what that does to you personally, right? And just so when you're up here all the time, because yes, it might not be our fault, and sometimes it is our fault. Sometimes we
Yeah.
do make mistakes, but knowing about the stress that this family that you care about is going through, or that the buyers that you really wanted to help can't get, X, Y, and Z, or can't get into that price point that they wanted. We're taking that on, and we're often working at 10 o'clock at night while we're
Yeah.
on vacation, while we're, especially if you're newer, you don't have the connections that you maybe want to build.
Yep.
That's all significant stress, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It's
impacting us.
one of the things is also understanding and giving women permission to not have to be suicidally empathetic.
Oh,
Right? I'm going to steal that right from God's side.
yeah.
There's a big move in police work the past few years for empathetic policing and victim-based policing, but that comes at a cost, and it comes at a cost to yourself, because
Yeah.
what we want to do is give the skill sets to recognize, manage it. Scripts are for parrots, right?
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
can't navigate, you can't change, you can't divert, you got to be able to think on your feet. And you're reading people, you're reading a scenario, and you want to be, in my opinion, the calming presence in the room,
Yeah.
and you're the chess player. You
Yeah.
can still be empathetic, just don't make
Yeah.
it yours. You have to
Yes.
move it somewhere, create boundaries. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's not your family, right? That's not
Yeah.
your thing. You're going to help as much as you can.
Yeah.
And the skill set that we have, what I think is different from others, is that it's not a script,
Mm.
right? It's something that can help you lead, negotiate, manage, respond to, not just react to,
Mhm.
cognitively, right? And be in more of the driver's seat
Mhm.
than it is to be taken along for the ride. And,
Yes.
and it doesn't matter that it comes from a police background or it comes from a realtor background. We're dealing with human beings,
Yep.
neuroscience, and human behavior. That you can't, it is what it is. And what I like about the Verity Accord is that we're working on you as the individual,
Yes.
not the sale,
Yeah.
not anything, but you as the
Yeah.
individual, because these things will translate to every part of your life.
Well, that's where it
Yes.
starts, right? I mean, I hear agents will ask me all the time, like, what are the best books for real estate and what are the best things to study? But really, what I usually recommend is it's you. It's personal development. It's working on you, because those scripts, the minute something goes off script, which happens practically all the time in our business, you don't have the tools, right? So you're developing those tools both with how to work with other people, but also within yourself. That's what I heard you just saying, Ellie, is working on that within yourself, so that then you're able to care without carrying, right? When we come into all these kind of
100%.
situations. So I'm so happy that we're having this conversation. Is there like just a couple of maybe little kind of like parting word or two of like, I know you're going to be bringing some skills to us to the conference that you're going to be sharing. Is there like maybe a parting tip or two that you could kind of share in general for our audience?
You want to go first, Marcella?
Sure. So when you're stressed, when you're in the middle, it's 8 o'clock at night, and you heard that the appraisal didn't come in at, list price, and you need to close in a week or whatever it might be. All the things are happening. Remember to work on your mindset first, right? Don't try to fix anything. Deal with yourself first. It's okay to take a walk. It's okay to do some breathing. It's okay to do all those things first. Don't try to go right into solution building, because you're probably not in the mindset to actually get there, and you might damage relationships. Do not engage when you are up here. It's better to trust your teammate, vent a little bit, get your head in the right space, and then go in and get curious and get the perspective. Understand the full perspective before we try to solution build.
Because how many do that, right? We fire from the hip. We're so like stressed and tense, and then we start firing off at things without even taking a moment to step back and think and get clear.
Yeah, smooth is fast, and that's a cop phrase actually, and it's true.
What I want to add to what Marcella said is your reactions will set the tone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if you learn to recognize in yourself when you're getting to that amygdala hijack, when your stomach starts to turn, your breathing rate changes, right? You start to get flushed. You're no longer thinking logically. Your prefrontal cortex is now shutting down and the amygdala is taking over it.
Mhm.
If you can just breathe for a second, like when you get that phone call and
Mhm.
something go right, we call it tactical breath work. It's Lamaze, right? 4 seconds in, 4 seconds old, 4 seconds out, and then rinse and repeat. It will shut down your sympathetic nervous system. It'll get you back online, because nobody wants a spastic realtor calling them at 10 o'clock at night. Oh my God, the deal. It happened to me. The deal fell through. You don't have a buyer. Now you can't buy your other house. Now
Yeah.
you're making me panic, right?
Yes. Yes.
You don't want a panicking firefighter or police officer when you need them the most, right? You want to be just regulate yourself.
Oh man, that's so good. I love this so much because what you guys are bringing, what you teach, and I want you to send me information about this course you guys are working on too, so we can put this in the show notes. But these are not things that I ever hear taught anywhere else in real estate. We get taught scripts, we get taught forms, but we don't get taught how to regulate ourselves, right? So that we can then take good care of our clients. So I am so thrilled that we're having this conversation and you guys are going to be at the conference.
Very excited to be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. We're excited.
All right, best place to find you.
Yeah, so our website is theverityaccord.com. You can look Ellie and I both up on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Marcella.Oakley, I believe.
Yes.
And then Ellie, you are Ellie Street Cop.
Yep, Elia Street Cop.
Elliot
And
Street
it's E-L-Y, right? E-L-Y?
Yes, that's what I go by. My real name is Elia. That's my grandmother's name. I'm not 65 yet, so I'm going to stick with Ellie for now.
And she is the best. She's the most awesome woman. I mean, look, I am so grateful to be working with you, Ellie. Like, this is so
Ditto, Marcella. Ditto.
And you too, Karen. Thank you for having us on. Thank you for inviting us to Empowering
Thank you, guys.
Real Estate.
And
You have a great day.
I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Empowering Women in Real Estate, the podcast. Click subscribe to be notified every Wednesday when our latest episode is released, and be sure to check out our group on Facebook.